News just broke. President Zelensky is asking for the US to send them fighter jets, Soviet era fighter jets, which are, Soviets, but the Ukrainian pilots can still pilot those Soviet era aircraft. They can't. The Westerners cannot send them. What happened is US and Poland are in talks to deliver Soviet era planes to Ukraine as Zelensky plead for fighter jets. What happened was Zelensky was in a phone call with hundreds of members of Congress, and he was saying to them, his message was clear: close the airspace or give us fighter jets. Closing the airspace would mean enforcing the no-fly. A no-fly zone would mean you would have to implement the no-fly zone, which means you would have to have fighter jets up in the sky to interact, to fucking enforce the no-fly zone, to shoot down Russian planes that are in the fucking airspace. And once you do that, that escalates the conflict to a new level because you're actively attacking enemy force. That's a declaration of war. Like that's not something to be taken lightly. It's really a big issue. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on NATO to declare a no-fly zone over Ukraine. In a call with US lawmakers, he said the US and NATO could at least send Ukraine fighter jets. The US is considering helping Poland backfill its aircraft stocks if it sends planes to Ukraine. So it does seem to be that if they send Ukraine fighter jets, the Ukrainian pilots cannot even pilot the modern fighter jets. They don't have the capability to do. You'd have to train them, then you'd have to bring them up, train them, then go back out there, which, it doesn't, I don't know if it's going to work because training takes time, right? Even the most gifted of pilots, it takes time to train them to use new software because it takes, it's not as simple as, just drive and go. No, it's not a car. This is a plane that's, sophisticated in some ways, and you have to understand how to use the different and how to land, how to take it off. It's a lot of different things. You got to learn. It takes weeks and weeks. It doesn't just happen in one day. So I think it's not going to work out the way people are saying. And what does he say? He said, provide the country with warplanes so it can defend itself against a full-scale Russian assault that has bombarded Ukrainian cities with missiles. Well, to be honest, this is what I would say to Mr. President Volodymyr Zelensky. I would say what you need to do now as the head of state of the Ukrainian people, and this is going to be in the best interest of the Ukrainian people, lay down your arms and surrender, because you're just prolonging the suffering of the Ukrainian people right now. I mean, you have a right to fight back. You should fight back, but you're losing the war, man. You're losing the war, bro. Even the Japanese surrendered after the nuclear bombs hit them. Shit. I get it. The whole world's with you, but the whole world's not fighting with you, man. The foreign legions that are going to come to the Ukraine, those foreign legions are not going to be considered akin to the Geneva Conventions by Russia. So those foreign legions are going to get, I don't know what to say. I'm not going to say it, but they're going to get their asses handed to them. So, 4 U.S. officials told Politico that the U.S. is considering a deal in which it would send fighter jets to Poland if it provides Ukraine with used MiG-29 Soviet-era aircraft. So they're going to use the backlog of the Polish stock, which they have the Soviet-era MiG-29, so they're going to send them to Ukraine. Well, that works. I think that works. That works. But do they have enough of those? And does Poland have enough of those Soviet-era aircraft? And is the Russians using Soviet-era aircraft? I find that hard to believe. They're probably using more modern jets, right? We are working with the Poles on this issue and consulting with the rest of our NATO allies. We are also working on the capabilities we could provide to backfill Poland if it decided to transfer planes to Ukraine. Okay, this sounds good, but it's not really. Okay, reports of the talks with Poland came after Zelensky spoke with hundreds of members of Congress on a Zoom call. And he was saying, close the airspace or give us planes. Well, the only option is really for them to give them planes. They refused to close the airspace. They said, we can't. We can't do it because between two nuclear powers shooting each other down in the airspace, it's really not going to work. I like my hair. I love it. The U.S. has already spent weapons to Ukraine after Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said on February 26 he had authorized $350 million in military assistance to Ukraine to defend itself against Russia. That's a lot of fucking money, man. That's a lot of fucking money. The U.S. delivered Stinger missiles, which can be used to shoot down Russian helicopters to Ukraine early this week. Yeah, it's up there. So it appears that the Americans are going to be beefing up the Ukrainians in their defense of the country. They're going to be helping them. But honestly, I feel like they should surrender, because when you're faced with a superior enemy, what do? What are Ukraine's options right now? One, hold out long enough. What are you going to do if you hold out? What's going to happen? Okay, eventually you're going to get ground down with attrition. It's going to be a war of attrition at some point. You're going to get ground down. Your casualties are going to rise. You're not going to have any more manpower left. And you're just going to get ground down. They're going to keep grinding you down, and then taking over. Now there's going to be more and more people that are going to die because it's a war. I mean, I get it. Russia's the aggressor. They're on the attack. So if they attack, you have a right to self-defense. I hear all of that. I hear you guys. I know you guys want to protect your country. And I hear you. But you're losing, man. People are dying. You're getting shot up, man. Like, the media is not telling us the truth. Like, it's not true, man. The Ukrainian is not winning right now. Let's just be real. Let's not try and lie to people. Like, they're not winning, bro. They're really not. Is Ukraine winning? Let's type that into Google. Let's see what's gonna say. Ukraine can absolutely win against Russia, really. Okay. Ukraine is winning the information war against Russia. I agree with that. 100%. Well, casualties don't really tell the full story. There's no way you're going to be able to say, oh, this guy has more casualties, that means he's losing. No, it doesn't work like that, man. War is not a kill-death ratio thing. It's not. And the prime example would be the Soviet Union against the Nazis. Warfare is not a fucking kill-death ratio. It's really not. Let's look at the fucking casualties right now. Casualties, 644 killed. Russian armed forces, apparently 3,500 kills. I'm not sure I believe that number, because they're obviously going to inflate the numbers to suit their agenda, which is what I expect. So how can it be UAF 40 killed and Russians 3,500 killed? It's an information war. It's not. I think there's only like 2 countries supporting Russia. Yeah, Belarus, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kyrgyzstan will stand by Russia. Cuba is going to be extending its support. China aims to take diplomatic measures and strike a balance between Western countries and Russia. On the other side, the Chinese President Xi Jinping is eager to boost the nation's ties with Russia, so he cannot endorse the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Beijing's foreign minister pleaded with all parties to be restrained. Yeah, there's full support among NATO nations for Ukraine. Mostly because it's in their best interest to support Ukraine, not to support Russia. Because Russia is the whole reason the NATO alliance was formed, guys. The Northern Alliance Treaty. This is why it was formed, because of Russia. Well, originally it was the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union dissolved. So why is there a need for NATO? It's over. The Cold War's over. Like, you see, it's just bullshit, man. But what's the solution here? They're gonna keep fighting until one side wins. Wars don't just end because people say they end. They end because there's a victor or a loser. That's how it. Treaty. You have to sign a treaty and then you finish. That's how it is. Or you surrender and you sign a treaty, and then you lose, and that's it. And then that's it. That's how it is. And I think the Russians are going to circumvent sanctions afterwards by cutting off the European oil and gas supply and leveraging that to get the sanctions off. That's exactly what they're going to do after this is over. But anyways, guys, I appreciate all of you guys for watching this video, and I'm out. Peace.